Hi guys, it's Holly from Katannings, West Australia. It is Sunday the 24th of June and I am doing this video to talk about the simulations that have taken place in Katannings, which are, I think, a big part of my targeting with the infrastructure as well as what's going on in the whole town to everybody within the community. Now, to start off with, Peter Campbell. Professor Peter Campbell was employed by CSIRO, who are a government body science and research facility, to undertake the simulation of Katannings. So Peter Campbell, I've researched who Peter Campbell is, Professor Peter Campbell. He returned to Australia from 22 years in America at Argonne's National Laboratory. He's very, very clever. The areas that he has worked in, everything from mining engineer, environmental, social, economical consulting services. These are all under defence umbrellas as such. Managing partner, principal in charge, atmospheric and environmental services. Dames and Moore Chicago office, technical service manager, atmospheric service. This work was mainly focused on nuclear electric utility industry. Well, that can be used further down as far as the global power simulations and nuclear fueled power stations and the fossil fueled power stations like Katannings Power, which is being digitised, computerised. Then you get the Nuja smart reclosure grid, which then puts your town, breaks it into a grid. So your town then forms boundaries, signals, and confinement. So that's a good little thing for him to have, his wee belt too. Acting Director of Information Science Division, Argonne National Lab. Foundation Director, responsible for market directions, strategic planning, administration. Deputy Director of EES Division from the early 1989s, developed information systems market serving Department of Defence, DOE and other federal agencies. Then Director of the Advanced Computer Applications Centre, Argonne National Lab, responsibility for both market development and technical direction with the focus on modelling and simulation systems for logistics. Well, when it comes to the logistics and a battlefield environment representation, Katannings is also ground floor for the Defence Joint Projects 2072, which is land, sea and air integrated with your SATCOM, with your GPS, with your IPS radio space server, which then in turn interacts with your power grid, your power supply. That goes for Australia and global, because Starlight, 10X, AMCOM, your power, they're all integrated. So then Professor Peter Campbell, he then goes and does the simulation of Katannings, and then from there he in 2010 joined the University of Wollongong as Professor of Infrastructure Modelling in the Smart Infrastructure Facility. He worked in the areas of agent-based modelling and MBSE. Okay, well, from there we go on to design for a flexible and extendable integrated assessment framework. And this is Defence Systems Institute, the University of South Australia. So that's when 2004. So he shot down straight after he did Katannings simulation from 2004 to 2007. Oh, there's a discrepancy in the dates. Doesn't work out. So he actually did it the simulation of Katanning, while he was at Argonne in America, because from 2004 to 2007 it's got that he worked for the defence. So in what capacity was Katannings simulation done? This one here is another bit of a resume for Peter Campbell, developing ABMs for a number of defence applications. The red team, IED. Now the red team, I haven't followed up on this, but I believe when there's joint projects, joint warfare games, America might be the blue team, Canada might be the green, New Zealand could be whatever, but he's red team. Capable Development Group Control Room, he's in the control room for a Hill Agent, which is human through the loop or human in the loop. And timing of large scale architecture designs, micro SCOM, and gotta love this, I'll show you this, look at this at the bottom. Also Katannings simulation for CSIRO. Also, like it's a walk in the park. Also, right, from those simulation, that simulation is actually Copeland biophysical and social models, conceptual models, and implementational details for a simulation of Katanning, West Australia. Now, this simulation is a biophysical and social economic domains. It is non-linear, which means it's interacting with other people in the community, the system, and what I would call actors, which other people, I'll call them actors. You could call them gang stalkers, you could call them whatever you want. Humans are involved. This is a complex adaptive systems. So we are living in a complex adaptive systems. Now, when the simulation was done for CSIRO, within CSIRO, there's a lady there called Angela Johnson, and she got her 5 cents worth on a simulation of Katanning too. Now, Angela Johnson's simulation for Katanning is people in context. So that's myself and all the other members of the community. People in context, critical social dimensions in complex landscape systems. So are we living in Katanning within a system? Is this matrix? Like, are we living the matrix? Do remember I posted a video on Katanning's power, which has been done by, it was upgraded, agreement between Western Power and Transfield Services. And Transfield Services, for myself and Katanning residents and our supply of power, is Transfield Woolley Power Services. which is otherwise known as the Muja power station. So our power gets computerized, digitized, and then we have Nuja. Now Nuja, not to be confused with Muja, Nuja is global. They're Nuja switchgear smart reclosures. Now they've come along with Western Power and they break your town up into a grid. Now with the grid, like I said, these the town is put on this grid for its power, and that way it more or less decks your town out with signals and boundaries via the grid. Now hypothetically, if you are fortunate enough to get a Nuja substation put on top of your Telstra exchange, which is attached to your Telstra tower, that looks like something it should be in at a concentration camp. Wow. Okay, so people in context, critical social dimensions and complex landscape systems. From there, Peter Campbell went down to Professor Peter Campbell, who did the simulation, went to Wollongong at the Smart Infrastructure Facility. From there, I have some complex system engineering principles. And this is a paper by Professor Peter Campbell and a Dr. Matthew Berryman. Now, this Dr. Matthew Berryman is a significant part for myself personally, I feel, because of the medical side of my targeting. So we'll get to Dr. Matthew Berryman. The 8th Asia Pacific Complex Systems Conference. Now, this took place in July 2007, so it would have been thereabouts after, just after Katannings Simulation had been done by Professor Peter Campbell, because it is in this paper, Katannings Simulation. And this is a major sponsor of the Australia's Research Council, which is COSNET. Now, for when all this is relevant, at that stage, the Australia Research Council, ARC, the director of ARC, Peter Lindsay, he is the director of ARC Centre for Complex Systems. Now, ARC is a recipient of the EU framework funding, so their hand was out for the framework funding. They are part of the Horizons, Framework 7 Horizons 2020. They are part of Framework 6 and Framework 5, along with Defence and along with the National Human Medical Research Council, who are there as the supporting bodies to prevent human medical experimentation being done like what's being done on myself. I have contacted them and they have just passed me back on to Defence. They will one day be accountable for their lack of action, to say the least. So from this 8th Asia Pacific Complex Systems forms a Smart Infrastructure Facility paper. Here I have SimCat, a virtual lab. So Katanning now has a virtual lab. Now this virtual lab is meant to explore the impact of climate change scenarios. Now, are those scenarios because of the environmental simulation that's being done? Because to me, if a town's been simulated, it's people, it's a biophysical, biosocial, environmental simulation that would also have to include the weather, which you're talking weather modification. So maybe that's what the SimCat. But because it's a virtual lab and you're talking Defence Science Technology Organisation with COSNET, Australia's Research Council, you were talking, it could possibly be their virtual lab, which if Peter Campbell, he decked out the J-Wars for America, for the simulation battlefield environments, if he's there and it's all part and parcel of that, because the University of Wollongong Smart Infrastructure Facility is a little bit bigger than that. It's cloud computing, smart infrastructure facility, Internet of Things. So it's everything it needs to possibly be. And with having this Dr. Matthew Berryman beside him, Dr. Matthew Berryman is, this next paper here is a COSNET wiki document paper. It is DISTO, Defence Science Technology Organisation, and it's more or less, hi all, I am pleased to announce this week's CASE researcher. Now CASE is short for Complex Adaptive Systems. Now then it goes on, Dr. Matthew Berryman, the Paycheck Network. Now this Paycheck Network, spelled P-A-J-E-K, is audio, video, data, real life data for large networks. It's the guy that designed it. I have posted on my page about him. This complexity system science, the guy that designed the Paycheck is complexity system science, and he was awarded awards for his program, so to speak. So the way I see it is that COSNET Wiki COSNET is tied in with Katanning, Paycheck, complexity system science, well, that's our simulation. As far as it being real-time and interactive, well, that could either be the IVAC, the Interactive Virtual Environment Centre, where the Optus C1 data goes, or with the theatre broadcast systems, which, like I said before, don't confuse the theatre broadcast systems with the integrated broadcast systems on the C1 satellite. The theatre broadcast systems was Defence Science Technology Organisation, DISTO Salisbury. They have a facility there that houses 545 researchers and scientists. It could be interacting there. It's a new building that was built for from what I can work out, for the theatre broadcast systems, which they refer to that part is the Electronic and Surveillance Research Lab. And the theatre broadcast systems, DISTO, is the Electronic and Surveillance Research Lab. And for myself, I am under very intense electronic surveillance and medical research. So this Dr. Matthew Berryman plays a very big part in what I believe is going on in Katanning and how this medical has been going on. Especially in one point, I have 2 CAT scans, 99 days from the first to the next one, and what you can see has taken place between these 2 CAT scans is absolutely horrific. That this can be done to a person in their own home. we're talking Star Wars, it's the virtual surgeon, it's the wireless body area network, it's an 802.11 platform, it's an 802.15 platform, and it's an 802.16 platform. You could also have it as a synchronized transferred mode ATM, which is part of your Starlight, which is your Katannings group, which promotes Starlight, which is now in the hands of Bay Systems. And Bay Systems and Katannings have 50-50 joint of the over-the-horizon radar systems. It's integrated into your power, it's integrated into your SATCOM, it's integrated into your GPS, and it's global, and it's an integrated global platform. And yeah, so from the Disto Complex Adaptive Systems group, I have another 2 people within this group, an Alex Ryan and an Anne-Marie Gregorison. Now from here, this is Adaptive Battle Agents, Emergencies in Artificial Live Combat Mode. Now, the reason I have this paper, one, it's the University of Wollongong document in my file, is because the artificial life, I am speaking on the Project Soulcatcher, as far as targeting and the different places and the different targeting and the different things that has happened to myself. I would say it's very much artificial life, it's very much Project Soulcatcher. To me, it is very much relevant. Peter Campbell, Professor Peter Campbell, and Peter Lindsay, the Australian Research Council, ARC. They are the human through the loop. They are the link there. I can bring them to Katanning via Peter Campbell. The medical side of it. The next paper I have is it's called SPIES. It's a technical program, and it's the final summaries, and it's for smart materials, nano and micro smart systems, and it's University of Adelaide, and for myself it's medical. It's micro smart systems, and it's got Dr. Matthew Berryman's name all over it. From there, in this folder, I've integrated, well, I believe I've integrated the paycheck, which is your complexity system science, in with the Optus C1. The way I'm able to do that is study the military command and control system as a complex network. Now this is using the software Paycheck, and it we find that the C31 systems is quite suitable. So Dr. Matthew Berryman, the Optus C1, Defence, Electronic and Surveillance, Research, Distos, Electronic, Salisbury, Optus C1, everything, the simulations, the power that was done by Transfield Defence under the name of Transfield Services. We're within a system, within the power has been, after the power was done, it was then simulated by Rheinmetall Defence, who have done global power simulations of not just fossil fuel power stations like the Katannings supplier, but also the nuclear fueled power stations. Power simulated, defence, Rheinmetall defence simulation, airport has been simulated, emergency airway medical have done a simulation, the town's been simulated, the people, well, that's debatable. It's like one big simulation within a simulation. Now, with all these simulations, the one part where it can become a major area of concern is in regards to the 210 data sets that I've been posting about. Now, the 210 data sets are they are via the Telstra tower. Now, it's the IPS radio space server. Now, so far to date, with that Telstra tower and the data sets, I've been able to, and these data sets are global. For myself, I have them going direct to Disto Salisbury and direct back again, which is a bonus. I have them going everywhere, all over the world. I have them going to Defence Air Force bases. I have them as NASA, the STEP 210 goes to Roswell Collins, it goes to Wright-Patterson base. Wright-Patterson base and places like that, they use the L3 systems, WESCAM L3 communication systems. Your WESCAM communication systems have been decked out with Starlight technology. Starlight is your power. Starlight is 10x data gate, data diode. They are in the sky and they are on the ground and they are in your IPS, your radio space servers, and they are global. So these 210 data sets, especially one of them is an area of concern, and it's called the AMI 210 data set. Now, with the AMI, it's talking about doing the AMI simulation within the other simulation or another simulation, and then comparing them on the global events. So this AMI simulation has been used in other places over the world. They've used this AMI simulation within another simulation. So to me, the IPS radio space server here in Katanning is significant for a global platform. Now, why would that be? We're in the backwash of West Australia, the most isolated place in the world. Why? Right. The desalinisation grid. It's the magnetic positive, negative grid that moves around the Earth. Now, it doesn't move in a straight line like on a map. It follows the magnetics of the Earth. Now, where Katanning is, as far as I'm concerned, we are the Rosetta Gateway. We are the Rose Line. We are the zero. Now, negatively to my left is the end of Australia and the sea and way out the Wop Wops. That's where the desalinisation grid on the negative side goes. Now, I'm in the neutral, zero, and then positively to my right, it actually hits Australia again. Now, this desalinisation grid positive line, that goes pretty much Parkes Honeysuckle Creek. Now, what does that mean? Parkes Honeysuckle Creek is the dish. Now, the dish was the satellite that was used to relay and work in with man walking on the moon. So it was the dish and Goldstones, Honeysuckle Creek, Goldstones, California, sorry, which that was set up by the Rockefeller Foundation. Now, so hypothetically, that to me makes Katanning quite a special, significant place. And the fact that the 210 data set comes here via the IPS radio server. Now, the one thing that makes it a bit dodgy is this paper here, transcendent and induced variations in aerial magnetics. Now, this is Defence Science and Technology Organisation in Katanning doing this via the IPS radio space server. Now, this is where the 210 data sets are going. With one of the particular 210 data sets is called the AP210 step. Now, we are talking the implementation of model-based manufacturing at Rockwell Collins, a brave new world of produce systems lifecycle management, steps AP210 stack-up design and war page analysis tool for printed circuit board manufacturing. Now, this 210, like I said, it's part of the over-the-horizon radar systems. It is also part of the HARP facility. It's IPS radio, space server. Space server, also on ground floor in Katanning. Like I said, we have Joint Projects 2072, which is land, sea and air is satellite and above. You are talking cyber warfare, which can be brought down to an urban environment, and when that happens, civilians and their property are not meant to be damaged. Well, I've been damaged, my property is being damaged, and to date I am still being damaged. But we also have JP 2047 on ground floor here in Katanning, which is a terrestrial communication platform, which I strongly believe will also work in with the Rosetta Gateway satellite, or what would you call it, observatory. It's the European Space Agency's New Norcia, which is not too far away from here. It's their first and deep space terrestrial. So geologically, has everything been geologically positioned for Katanning? In saying that, 1835, John Roe and John Sterling were in Katanning doing, well, especially John Septimus Roe, Governor General John Septimus Roe, member of the Upper House, America, was doing his fauna, flora, water samples and doing his electromagnetic renaissance propagations in 1835. Now, a lot went down. Some 65 years later, a train line gets built in a town, and that's when the Australian government buy the train line in the town of America. So it was actually an American-owned town, geologically positioned for maybe something a lot bigger. So that's my targeting simulation on Katanning. Thank you. Bye.